Are you a real estate investor looking to sharpen your skills or a newbie looking to become one? You're in the right place. Welcome to Where Should I Invest? Real Estate Investing in Canada with your host, Sarah Larby.
You can't build an entire portfolio on non-cash flowing condos. That's ridiculous. But you also have to weigh this like massive appreciation against the cash flow for today. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to people about, okay, well, what's right? Should I invest here or should I invest there? It's never a like black and white answer. It's always a matter of what do you want your real estate to do for you and how does it fit into your lifestyle?
Yeah.
Because you can't answer that question.
Yeah.
Figuring out where to invest is going to be really difficult.
Yeah. And I think gone are the days that you could pick one market and it's going to do both for you continuously and you can stick to one market forever. I think we just don't have enough inventory for that at this point anymore. But I'll tell you, the less cash flowing properties that appreciate more, you'll likely be able to redeploy those funds a lot faster into new properties that do provide you cash flow. Because if you didn't have those ones that boost in terms of appreciation, you're going to be capped pretty quickly, because I think the name of the game for many of us is to be able to redeploy the cash, refinance certain properties, redeploy the cash into other assets. And you need to have some lift somewhere. So if you're buying in, because sometimes like I have the same conversation as you, Doug, like with people looking at places in the US. Yeah, well, some places in the US, your $50,000 house is still going to be worth the exact same thing in 5 years, in 10 years. Sure, the cash flow is great, but like at some point you're going to be either saving from your job income for the next one, or you need to find something else that will have some lift that you can then use that refinance, use that money, and that's essentially how you buy many other properties with the equity.
Totally, you make a great point. I mean, that's exactly what we did with this condo. I'm gonna keep using it as an example because it is literally this, and it is the power of real estate in action. And like for the people out there who are listening to this, and you're in your 20s, like I can't describe how powerful this is to be able to do it. I mean, at any age, it's going to be great, but especially when you're young, because now you have some options. You can see what's possible, right? Like I was able to quit a job because of the decisions that I made. Like, and I'm not saying quit your job. Like I will say in my particular situation, like I really did not like what I did. Okay. Like really did not like it, but it allowed me to do some other things, but I still had to make good decisions in order to give myself the option. And I made those decisions 5-6 years in advance of when I was like, man, I got to get out of here. But picture this, you're in that situation where you're like, man, I got to get out of here, but I don't have the option because I didn't buy real estate 5 years ago, or I didn't make an investment in myself or something else 5 years ago. So now I have to stay here. I'm locked in. I need my job. I need that income in order to support myself, my family, my habits, whatever it may be. And now you're like 5 years behind.
Yeah.
And that hurts. So anyways, that's just an aside. I wanted to share that.
No, I mean, that's a great point for sure.
Yeah. But to go back to the condo in Surrey, right? It's exactly what happened, right? We bought it for $330. 4 years later, upon completion, we had a tenant in there for 1 year. We got it refinanced. And at the time, this was 2018, got it appraised for $450. Right. So we've gone up 120 grand in value in 4 years, and we paid down a bit of mortgage over that same period of time. Plus we had a 20% deposit in it, which at the time, was just what you had to do. And I didn't know any better. So yeah, we had a ton of equity in this place. Right. And so we were able to take that equity and buy a cash flowing property in Prince George, a market where I knew I could get cash flow. And I knew it very well. Like we literally bought the property next door to the first property that I owned. I knew exactly what it looked like. I knew exactly what kind of rent I was going to get. It doesn't work in real life that if you own the property next to it, like you do in Monopoly, that rents on both from Rise, that doesn't really work, but it's still kind of fun. Yeah. Because you're like, oh man, now I got the set.
So one of the things I would just say, because you mentioned buying a property next to each other, talk to your lawyer, because you likely don't want to be closing it in the same corporation or the same name, because otherwise the titles can merge. I don't know if it's the same where you're buying. but you just got to be careful. So like, for example, like in Ontario, if you buy, number 2 and you buy number 4, you don't want number 2 to be in the exact same title and you don't want them to merge. So definitely like work with your lawyer before closing.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, one of the things I want to go back to that you said is like, you were able to leave your job that you don't like. And I think that first and foremost, congratulations. Like it's always tough to like decide that you're no longer employable and you're just doing this, essentially full time. But I think with that, you need to have some income, right? So this is not where the equity comes into play. This is where the income comes into play. So you've got to have cash flowing properties to be able to say, I'm comfortable month to month because I've got additional money at the end of the month, or you start flipping, or you got to do something where it's bringing you short-term active income, like flipping or wholesaling, or you've got to have enough through your rents. Some of them could be short-term, mid-term, long-term, all that good stuff. But that's essentially like, maybe the reason that many people can leave from a financing standpoint or a income standpoint versus just having the equity. Because and the other thing too, by the way, is as soon as you leave your job, refinancing and pulling out that equity becomes a lot more difficult. So you do want to do that beforehand. Comments, thoughts on that?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think we talked about this when you were on our show, right? Like, because we were in similar situations. I know you left your job and we were talking about what you needed to do to get there first off, and then how you set yourself up. And it's the same thing in my experience, right? Once you leave your job, you don't have that income source anymore. So yeah, where is money coming from for today? Like for me, it was, okay, how can I develop another stream through real estate, right? So that's where the flipping of houses came through, right? I could take some of the money that I had, I could put my money to work on flips, turn them around and create an income stream. Great, now I'm good for today, right? Because you can't eat equity, right? And unless you're, cycling one refinance year after year after year and pulling that money out, even at that, the checks might not be big enough for you to live for a year. I'm, just being hypothetical. But the other thing on that too is, you said it, right? If those properties are owned personally, then you might think that you can refinance, but I mean, I don't know many people who can refinance without having any new application and income verification and all that. So if you don't have that, then how do you expect to pull your equity out? Well, now you've got a new problem. And so just knowing that going in is like a hedge against the risk of, this income question for today. And that's really what's important for anybody who's trying to leave a job is, take advantage of refinances before you leave. Maximize all the access that you can to credit, whether it's personal line of credits, HELOCs, credit cards, all that stuff. Try and get your limits raised, and I've got a whole thing, I think I did a whole podcast on it, about how you do this in a successive way so that you're not looking like you're, hunting for credit, because that'll hurt your credit score. So it needs to be systematized over a period of time. You can't just be like, boom, I'm going to do this all in 1 week. Right? You gotta space it out, but it's so important to do, because once you leave, the easy applications and the easy money is harder to get.
You got to definitely be a lot more creative at this point. Of course, you can do like blanket mortgages, and you can work with a really good mortgage broker that's outside the box in terms of the way that they do things. And but your A lender, cookie cutter, Scotias, or all that kind of stuff are going to be really, really tough for sure. So obviously you've been doing this for a little while now. You've had some great success. You've been able to leave your job, but it's not all roses and butterflies. It's not all like uphill. It's not just the tip of the iceberg or whatnot. What are some things that you can share with us? Challenges, difficulties that you've had along the way, maybe some insights for my listeners so that they can, take a different route if possible.
Yeah. I mean, I could get into weeds with stories, actual things that have happened, but I'm going to choose not to and try and make this as general but as impactful as possible. Is that nothing gained comes without some sort of price to be paid. So the big jump for me happened when I was 26. I joined a real estate education network, if you want to call it that. And I made a commitment to myself that I was going to double my portfolio within a year. And I didn't know how per se I was going to do that. I was committed to doing it, right? So that's the first thing, is let's commit first, let's figure out the rest later.
Thanks so much for listening to Where Should I Invest with your host, Sarah Larby. Make sure to listen in next time. We'll catch you on the next episode of Where Should I Invest?